Hello everyone, welcome to US LLM Tips, your one-stop shop for all your US LLM content. Today I'm going to be doing something very exciting on the channel. I'm going to be talking about what I believe is the best bar prep service in the United States. Yes, I mean Themis. And I don't just say Themis because the channel is collaborating with Themis to bring you this content. I use Themis to pass the bar exam, and I've talked about that so many times on the channel. But let me just be genuine about my experience. Using Themis to practice for the New York bar exam made the New York bar exam a walk in the park. I mean, the multiple choice questions, which I also call the MBE questions, were very easy for me because I had practiced with the Themis questions. Like, the Themis portal gives you access to a lot of questions, and some of those questions are way more difficult than the New York bar exam. Let me be honest, that was my experience. And so I know I say use Themis, use Themis. Today I'm going to be doing something way more than telling you to use Themis. I'm going to be taking you through how I use Themis. I think that's very important. I think you want to know how, right? Because it's not everybody that knows how this works, right? I want to take you through what I will say my secrets to using Themis and how I passed with that exam. I'll be sharing with you the key features of the bar prep service that I feel like position you for success. Let me be honest with you. My experience has been, I don't know anybody who has not used Themis. That's my experience. I don't know any LLM student who has not used Themis. I only know people who have used Themis and only have had good things to say. Hence this collaboration and hence us bringing this to you. So please enjoy this. I hope it's helpful to you. If you're not thinking of writing the bar exam anytime soon, I hope it's helpful to you when you want to write the bar exam. If you're thinking of writing the bar exam next year or soon, then I feel like you're in the best place. This is the best time to be here. All right, so let's jump into the rest of the episode. So here we are. We are currently in the Themis Bar Review dashboard. As I said, what I want to do is take you through key features. I can't show you everything, and I don't think I should show you everything. When you buy your access to the portal, you get all you need to know. But the moment you log in, first thing you see is this dashboard. The first thing I want to show you is how to plan your study, right? Because I feel like that's very important. There are two ways of using Themis Bar Review, right? You can either use in directed study mode or flex study mode. In directed study mode, which is what I used a lot of the time, you can use the two. I actually used both directed and flexed. But in directed study mode, what you're actually trying to do is the Themis Bar Prep Service or the portal itself will come up with like a schedule for you. So let me show you. Tomorrow, this is what I have to do tomorrow. And so in directed study mode, until I finish the first task, I can't do the second, right? Until I finish the second, I can't do the third. Everything has to go in seriatim. In directed study mode, that is one of the things in directed study mode. So directed study mode really helps to direct your study. Like, it comes up with a list of tasks that you're supposed to accomplish every day. Let me show you what the monthly calendar looks like, right? And what happens in directed study is that also, like, for the 5th of July, I have all these tasks to complete. For the 6th of July, I have 21 assignments. Now, that's a lot, right? And it actually might be because of the time that I launched this portal. But something that I want to tell you that is very amazing about the Themis Bar Review and why I like the directed study is that if for some reason I am not able to accomplish my task on a particular day, the calendar adjusts, right? It's called the adaptive calendar, right? The calendar adjusts for you so that the next day you're able to continue where you stopped, which is fantastic. The directed study mode for me helps to keep you on course. For you to succeed using Themis Bar Prep, you are advised to at least cover 75% of the material. For me, I would advise you to cover more because I did more than 75%. But the barest minimum is 75% for you to succeed. So this is what direct study is really about. Now, I've talked about flex study. Flex study is different. Flex study allows you to access things in whatever form you want to, like in whatever format. So I told you directed study means you have this list of tasks that you have to accomplish. In flex study, as you see here, Flex Study, you can open your outlines, open lectures, you can access whatever you want to access, and it's not really directed. You're the one directing yourself. It's practically a flexible mode of studying, right? So that's one thing I want you to bear in mind. You can use the two. I use the two, both directed study, to keep me on a course and to feel like, oh, this is being directed and I have a schedule and something like that. That really helps, right? But Flex Study helps you to access things, because remember I told you we directed until you finish task 1, you can't get to task 2, right? With Flex Study, that helped me access things that I needed to access sooner. Like if I wanted to see a particular outline, and if in my directed study I'm going to see that outline only in week 14, and I don't want to wait till week 14, I can just jump to lectures or outlines and get what I want. Now, the next thing I'll take you through is how to actually use the resources on Themis, right? I've showed you how to plan your study. It's either directed or flex. However you want to do that is really up to you. But the next thing that you should know is you have access to outlines, you have access to lectures, as you can see here, you have access to MBE past questions, which are your multiple past questions, essay past questions, essay exams, your graded essays. You know, I've mentioned, I don't know, and I'm going to talk about this at some point, but these are the resources that you have access to. So if you click on your outlines, you see all the outlines that you get access to, right? If you click on your lectures, you see all the resources and you have access to all these lectures. Now I want to talk a bit about lectures, right? Something that happens for me was that I started out with lectures. I started out watching the video clips. So the lectures are usually 20 to 30 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes sometimes, of someone talking to you about a particular content or a particular subject matter. So like civil procedure could be like subject matter jurisdiction or procedural jurisdiction, or you know, all the other stuff, right? And so just to bear in mind that when you're watching those lectures, something that I did was that I made notes. Making notes is important, right? So these are all the lectures, like for agency, conflict of laws, essay writings. These are the lectures that you have access to, and you can watch it as many times as you want for that 6 months period. But remember, the whole point is not to sleep on these lectures and watch them. The whole point of the bar prep for me is to practice, right? So something that happened to me was that when you click on a lecture, something that comes up for a lecture is that you get access to also fillable handouts, right? So if you click on a lecture here, one of these lectures, you also have access to a handout that you can be filling while you're watching the video, which for me is very important, right? That helped to reiterate and to emphasize the topic to me. So like hearing and also filling those handouts is, you know, fantastic. So that's what you need to know about lectures. As I said, you will know more when you get the portal. Now, before we go ahead, I want to talk about outlines. Outlines are important. So I remember what I said. I started out watching those lectures. Those lectures just give you knowledge. They help you get the general concept. But the outlines are even juicier, right? The outlines contain more detailed content about each subject matter. Let me give you an example. And I'm not sure I mentioned this yet. I know this bar prep portal is, you know, online and is something that you need your computer for. But something that I love about Themis, honestly, is that they also send you books. Like, these are like one of the books that I got. And this is one of the big outlines, like the MBE outlines. This was like my Bible back then, right? And so something to bear in mind is that they send you this box of books that if for some reason you're not the best person using computers and you like to use your books, well, it depends on the jurisdiction, right? I know for New York, they send you these books. I don't know if they do that for every jurisdiction. And so for New York, you get this big box of books that if for some reason you're not the best using your computer and you want to be able to like read physical paper, you have access to that as well. Now back to the outlines. Outlines are important, right? They have, so let me give you an example. These are all the outlines for the subject matter, right? What happens is when you click on read agency outline, then you have written content, and it's way more detailed. So let me tell you how I use this. I used my outlines. I really depended on my lecture handouts, right? So I've talked about these lectures and how I made notes. But if there were things that I did not understand, I also used the outlines. The outlines are more detailed, and you may not need all that much content to pass the exam, honestly. But I use the outlines here. So let me give you click this rate agency outlines, and it just has a lot of content, right? Broken down, very simple English, right? So that's just an example of what you can expect. Let me go back to outlines here. Right. And so what happens is that I use those to supplement the lectures. If there were things I didn't understand and I wanted more in-depth knowledge, or if there was a topic that I kept failing, I would use the lecture outlines. And this is how to access it. Everything is on your dashboard. Like, it's so easy. Nothing is hard with Themis. What you see is what you get, right? So everything is on your dashboard. Another thing to bear in mind is that you get these things called final review outlines when you click on outlines as well. And those are very helpful when you get very close to the exam. The final review outlines are really very condensed, right? And I noticed that that's a new feature. I don't think that was there when I used the Bar Prep portal, but that is, for me, is sweet. So when you go to outlines, look out for that as well. I think I saw one. So you see this final review outline. That is a gold mine when you're looking to start, when you're very close to the exam, and you just need to remind yourself, because your notes may be lengthy, or everything may just be lengthy, and you need to get information quickly at your fingertips. You need to be reminding yourself the closer you get to the exam. That is what I would say is the best part of using the outlines and the final review outlines. So the next thing I'm going to be talking about is practice. I've talked about the substantial resources, right? Your outlines, your lectures. Those two are what you actually use to develop expertise in the subject matter, your outlines and your lectures. Now, I've said it so many times that one of the biggest perks of using Themis is the amount of questions you get to use to practice. And that, for me, is like one of the best features of Themis. I practice so much with Themis that, as I said, the New York Bar exam were just a walk in the park for me, right? So I want to show you what I mean by practicing with Themis, right? Something you have here is your MBE past questions, essay past questions. You also have what I call graded essays. These are opportunities for you to practice. So let me just take you to the MBE past questions, right? You have the opportunity to practice in either test mode or interactive mode. Test mode really means that, you're practicing like you're in the exam hall. Interactive mode means like when as you answer, if you get an answer to a question, you will know right there that you got the answer. If you failed, you will know right there that you failed that question, and then you'll be given a reason why you failed the question, right? And so you either choose test or interactive. When I started practicing for the exam, really, like for reals, I was in test mode throughout because I wanted to time myself. That's very important. But in the beginning time, it's nothing, but when you're just starting out with the bar prep, there's nothing wrong with just using the interactive mode. I want to show you something which I believe is a gold mine in Themis, right? And that is really, so I tried out, and this was just really, I wasn't really paying attention so that people don't think that I failed this, but I tried out a test, MBE, like a practice question session, right? And so this was a civil procedure that had 17 questions. And as you can see, when you finish practicing, you get, like, I want to say, I call it metrics. I'll call it metrics, but you get a breakdown of what you failed, what you passed, why you failed, where you're doing, what subject matters are you doing poorly. You get all the list of subject matters that you you worked on, like that came out in that practice question session, and which ones you failed. And even when you click on these links, it doesn't just stop there. It takes you to the part of the outline if you want to learn why you failed and get more substantive content, right? And so this was something that I really enjoyed after I practiced. The goal here is 50%, which is the goal for you that Themis has set, that, oh, at this you should pass, you should have 50%. Unfortunately, I was at 11.76. I was just trying to click through, guys. I feel shy, but I was just trying to click through so that you see this. This is what I really wanted to show you, right? That you get this view, but you can see it in sequential, right? Or subject matter or subject view. I just wanted you to see this just so that you know that this is very important for when you practice, because it's not just about practicing, guys. It's about practicing, failing, and knowing why you failed. That is how I did it. I practiced and I let myself fail so that I don't have to fail the exam. When you fail, it's important that you know why you failed that particular question. Go back, look at the outline, look at the lecture notes to know why you failed. So that's it for the MBE past questions, which I just showed you. You could get questions that are in like these are 17 questions. It could be 34, it could be more. It could be a single subject set, means only one subject is being tested during that past question session. And that's usually what will happen in the beginning, where you're just being tested and you're just learning. But as you go more and more, they start mixing the questions. So number 1 might be contract, number 2 might be tort, number 3 might be constitutional law, and stuff like that. Remember, it's okay to start out with interactive, but the end game is the test mode, because you want to time yourself. I want to talk about the essay past questions, because I also think that's important. This is how you write and review and you practice your essays, because it's not just the MBEs, right? You also have to practice your essay questions. And it's the same thing. You click on the question and you begin, right? I don't have to take you through the content, but you click on the question and you begin. So that's something that you bear in mind. And so after you finished answering the question within the allotted time, Themis will show you what the ideal answer would look like, and then you compare what you actually wrote vis-a-vis like what the ideal answer is, to see how far or how well you're doing. But let's talk about the graded essays. Now, one thing I've told you is that one thing I've told you about Themis, which is one of the biggest points that I enjoyed, let me take you to directed study. Remember, this is your dashboard, your landing page. This is where you see all your tasks. Now, let's say we're on graded essays. Graded essays, what this really means is, I remember I've mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned, but if you've seen my previous videos, you've seen that one of the things I've mentioned is that with Themis, you get personalized feedback from an attorney, right? And so this particular graded essays, what they really mean is that you get an attorney who is going to actually like sit down and look through it and mark, which is fantastic, right? Attorney advisor would give you all sorts of like feedback on your essay, what you need to do better. For people like me that hand wrote my essays, I believe what happened was, after I hand wrote, I like these graded essays were handwritten, and I wrote everything in capital letter, right? And so after my essay was handwritten, I think I would take pictures and send as an email to the attorney. I believe that's what I did. Or I don't know if there's a better feature now for that, but you would send it. So whether you're handwriting or you're going to use your computer, Themis makes accommodations for you, right? There's space for you to be you while you're preparing for the exam, right? And so graded essays is a very important one, because that's where an attorney gets to actually look at your essay and give you like personalized feedback on, this is what you're doing right, this is what you're doing wrong. And I think you have multiple opportunities for that attorney to keep looking at your essay. So which is why I think, Themis Bar is a fantastic program, guys. Something to bear in mind is that if you also click on this course schedule, you will get a PDF that also gives you your schedule, like for the whole prep period, right? A PDF with like a checklist, and so you tick what you've done, or you can tick what you've done by yourself and what you haven't done. So you have options. That's one thing about Themis. It's not just, if you struggle with reading, like using your computer, if you struggle with reading using the Bar Prep portal, you have access to the books, right? You have access to the outline books, and you can do all your reading here and then answer your questions, right? And so those are the big things that I want you to pay attention to. There's a lot more, and I won't be able to go through. Like, you have access to flashcards that are helpful to you, and then even this World MBE question bank, and you find out more about that. But even beyond your past questions, Themis provides you this portal of many more questions that you can use to target your weaknesses. So if there's an area that you keep failing at, you can use the MBE question bank to help you address those weaknesses. And that's fantastic, because that is very surgical, right? And this exam is really about strategy, right? So I hope this has been useful to you. If you have questions for your officials, you can also always ask those questions here. There's always a way out. There's always, something new and innovative with Themis. And I have to say, it looks way better than it looked like when I was using it. Not to say it was bad then, but I'm just saying, like, it's very organized. It's a Themis feel, is what I'll say, right? And I just want to reiterate that Themis is really the Bar Prep portal for LLM students. And I can say that for sure, because I used it and I passed. So I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope, this is something that you take into consideration when you are preparing for the exam, right? I couldn't show all the features. If I did, this wouldn't end. So, but I hope that, what I have shown is enough for you to use to start, because then you will learn more. There are a lot of how to use videos on the Themis portal. Like when you buy access to the portal itself, there are a lot of how to do this, how to use the outlines, how to use Themis. Like, they give you the how-tos. Those are the first lectures that you watch before you actually start watching lectures on substantive courses, right? And so I want you to use it. I've gotten a lot of questions, and let me just answer this question from people who've asked the question of, can I write the bar exam without using the Bar Prep portal? And I was saying, no, I will not advise even my enemy to do that, right? You need a Bar Prep portal. You need access to questions, unlimited questions, so that you can practice. And Themis is how to get you there. I hope this has been helpful to you, and see you on the next episode.